Welcome back to Live Light, our channel that focuses on mindful living, all-natural lifestyle, and eco-friendly adventure. This week's topic addresses one of our most asked questions about tiny living, which is...
Are you actually happier living in a tiny house?
And the answer is...
Yes! We can definitely say that our lives are so much better now that we're living in a tiny. But the reasons we're happier go far beyond just where we live.
Agreed. I think what's really magical about going tiny is that it affects so many other areas of your life. For instance, downsizing and decreasing our rent by half allowed Daane the financial freedom to leave his corporate job and follow his dreams of becoming an eco-entrepreneur.
Exactly. In my previous life, I was traveling so much for work that I really wasn't able to live my life. It was all airports and office time. And the biggest change for me has been the freedom and the ability to say yes to my friends and birthdays and camping trips, and to say yes to sunsets on the beach and working from our local cafe. And most importantly, to say yes to my family and enjoy spending time with each other on a daily basis.
Just that change alone made us happier people.
Definitely.
And it strengthened our relationship, I would say. I mean, honestly, the benefits just go on and on. We could probably sit here all day and just ramble on about how we love it. But instead, we have distilled our love for the tiny life down to 5 main points. So here we go. Top 5 reasons we love living tiny.
Reason number 1, it simplifies and unburdens your life. When you have a very limited amount of space to work with, it forces you to only keep what you really need and what you really love. For example, instead of a walk-in closet full of clothes that you never wear, you just decide to keep the stuff that you actually wear because you just don't have the space for anything else.
Definitely. It's like the KonMari method on crack. If you aren't familiar with KonMari, it's the life-changing magic of tidying up, which is a New York Times best-selling book. And we'll be doing a whole video about it in a few weeks, just in time for spring cleaning. But the basic principle is about letting go of things that don't spark joy, so you can make room for stuff that really matters. So, tiny life, yeah, it pretty much forces you to get rid of everything that doesn't matter, which leaves you feeling so much lighter.
And that brings us to number 2. Living tiny eliminates mindless consumption. You know, like when you're out and something just happens to catch your eye and probably doesn't have a specific use or doesn't replace anything that's broken, but you like it, so you buy it. You bring it home, maybe use it once or twice, and it gets stuffed in a closet, and before you know it, you never see it again. I've always been a fan of multi-use, versatile pieces, whether it's clothes or household goods or tools, whatever. And tiny living really requires that type of mindset.
Yeah. Or like when you're at an event and they offer you like a free gift, you know?
Like swag.
Yeah, like a bunch of stuff you really don't need, but you just take it because it's free.
Or when you walk by a sale rack and buy something just because it's a great deal and you never would have bought it anyway. Those type of sales where you just can't pass it up, but you're never going to use it.
Yeah, I'm definitely guilty of that one. Anyway, these are great examples of mindless consumption that simply cannot happen when you live in a tiny house. Impulse purchases are also limited because you seriously cannot bring more stuff into the home without getting rid of something first. Unless you plan on like sleeping with it or wearing it on your person. There is literally nowhere to put it. So, yeah, living tiny encourages you to be a very conscious consumer, which at the end of the day saves you money.
Absolutely. And it's much better for the planet. But that brings us to reason number 3. We love our tiny house because of the indoor-outdoor living. Having such a small indoor space really encourages you to get outside. And nature has always been my biggest source of inspiration, and my office is almost exclusively outdoors now. Not to mention the fact that we have a trail into the state park 50 yards from our driveway. So if I ever need a little inspiration or just want to get my heart rate up or a little oxygen in my bloodstream, I just take a little walk into the trees.
Yeah. That is absolutely one of the things we love most about living here. And just that overall happiness leads us to reason number 4. The tiny life reduces comparison mentality. We all know the struggle of keeping up with the Joneses. Or, I guess these days, the Kardashians?
No.
Okay, anyway. We all know what it's like to feel the pressure of having to keep up with our friends. Someone's always getting a better job, a better house, a nicer car. And a lot of times, if we're being honest, that can leave you feeling a bit crappy about yourself. I know I've fallen victim to that mentality a lot in my life, and it's a really unhealthy way to be, because comparison is the killer of happiness. But now that we've taken this totally alternative route and we're living in this tiny gingerbread house nestled into the trees and we're just like dreaming up adventures and plans for ourselves, it's like we're living our own weird little life now, and there's nothing to compare it to. It's just our weird little life, and we're really happy. So who cares what everyone else is doing?
And that brings us to the final reason we love living tiny. It cultivates closeness. The thing about being married in a tiny house is you can't fight for very long because there's nowhere to go. You can't slam a door, you can't go to the other room because there's no other room. So you just have to come to an agreement really quickly.
Yep. And beyond that, sharing such a small space with someone you love really encourages you to cultivate a rhythm with them. You become intimately aware of each other's habits and preferences, and you learn to build a life together that's harmonious.
And if you don't, you will literally be crashing into each other and clashing all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's also a potential danger of living tiny. If you don't have a strong relationship, you're going to be in some trouble real quick. But if you have a strong foundation in your relationship and you're deciding to go tiny, it will only make your relationship stronger. And with that, we'll wrap up this week's video. Be sure to tune in next week where we'll be sharing some advice that seriously altered the trajectory of our lives.
Yeah, we can't wait to share it with you. So until then, we encourage you to be well and live light.